This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
The games are over and 9 to noon has just begun. It was an up all night Tuesday. Master mixer of the Monday montage on a Wednesday is Eric Nordquist, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. Boomtown Rats kind of Tuesday for us, wasn't it? With a 9:15 tip tap and a 10:15 puck drop. And the squads went 1-1. It was a directional Tuesday night for two of our favorite teams, and it played into the outcomes. Good morning. Welcome to 9 to noon. There is no better place to be than here to celebrate and grieve your favorite teams. Tell friends and family to gather around all forms of listening devices, because we got the goods.
9 to noon.
Our Wild played the game going north and south and did so with a head of steam. Our Timberwolves went to chasing while going sideways and played an east-west game that was discombobulated and ineffective for long passes on that directional Tuesday night for a couple of our favorite teams, the Wild and the Wolves and the Wild. Kaprizov passes to Boldy. He catches it. He scores. Missed shots would come bounding off the rim, and our Hal refused to catch the easy ones. The Lakers would receive chances anew and generally make the Timberwolves pay. And while our Timberwolves were turning down a bevy of three-point shots, the Christmas Colors scored on nearly 1/3 of their shots. The Lakers threw roundhouses and got real physical with our beloved Hal, and we seemed shell-shocked and stunned. Marcus Foligno had 12 hits and has 23 in 2 games and knocked the Stardom and Savvy and Bleep right out of the heavily favored Knights, while the Wolves consistently avoided the north-south thrust of penetration and couldn't catch a cold after some sweet passes.
Jeez.
The Wild flies east after stunning and dominating a stressed, dumbfounded, bewildered, and stupefied Vegas Golden Knights bunch. Each series is tied at 1. Covenant claps for stealing home court and stealing home ice from the glitz, glamour, and grime of Los Angeles and Las Vegas. That's the overarcher. We stole home court, we stole home ice, and now the home fans, they got big reasons to cheer beginning tomorrow night, XL Energy Center. Vegas Golden Knights, Minnesota Wild, game number 3. Friday night, about 8:30. They say 8:30, feels like 8:50. Lakers and Timberwolves, Game 3, Target Center. We have absconded, we have seized, we have stolen home court and home ice from the glitz and the glamour and the grime of Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Now, basketball. The King ruled last night. All right? And his popper, Luka, did the same. It's the King and the popper. Luka and LeBron. It's fair to bend the knee. I hate saying that. But it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to go J.J. Redick on it and not give anybody any credit.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's fair to bend the knee after the Lakers' impressive display of bounce-back fortitude and will.
Oh my gosh.
Damn it.
Above average at that.
Our beloved Hal, we miss shots we normally hit.
Yeah.
But the way they schemed up switches and kept getting Doncic on Rudy, I mean, that was unbelievable how often that transpired last night. It was quite the impressive feat. This is your We Give Credit to the Adversary When It's Deserved leader, the fan, and KFAN.com. It's 9 to noon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we bent the name. Props to Gobert, by the way, for low-key doing a pretty good job on Luka Doncic. Seriously, I mean, you talk about an uncomfortable position. Holy cow. My man's got to slide with Luka Doncic. and they set it up and they schemed it, and then they spread the floor. Now Rudy played nearly 30 minutes, which might be a few too many. Why? Because Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo played a combined 37.
Right.
Due to consistent foul trouble.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
While we bend the knee, they bent over and got spanked for being very bad boys for all those fouls. What about the out to lunch factor? What about the out to lunch factor in the old Wolves game last night? You know, those who leave you wondering, hey, where'd those guys go? Oh, they're out to lunch. For the Timberwolves, those consistently out to lunch and helping minimally included, but are not limited to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who helped little and mostly played an awful game. Naz Reid and Dante couldn't find rhythm. Why? Due to the diseased fouls. Out to lunch for the Wild, in fairness, Marco Rossi, who had quite a difficult night for the Wild.
He's had a bad pair of games, man.
He got demoted last night, went from third-line center to fourth-line center, and Hartsey was elevated, and Ryan Hartman is playing every bit as well as almost everybody within the Wild covenant.
He's had two awesome games in contrast.
Yes, this side of Kaprizov and Boldy, Hartsey, he gets covenant claps, man, because people like, including the coach, man, they're like all over him all the time and everything. Hartsey, though, took a cross-check, I think it was to the face or the throat, in game number 1, and he bounced back. Why? That's hockey. That's hockey. And he's a tough guy. All righty. File some talkbacks, please, to the free iHeartRadio app, all right? 30 seconds, and we are playing a bunch of them today. And, in fact, we're going to start next segment. Wolves and Wild, Wild and Wolves. Now, one Timberwolves talkback will land a couple of comp tickets to Friday night's game against the glitzy Lakers. Winner announced final hour. Hey.
Wolves back, talkbacks.
Wolves back, talkbacks. Wolves back. We need Wolves back on Friday night in game number 3. I miss anything with the iHeart app? 30 seconds. What else needs to be shared?
No, man, it's absolutely perfectly. All of you listening on the iHeartRadio app, if you're not, jump into the app, and all you got to do when you're listening to our station, you'll see a little microphone next to the play button.
There we go.
Record up to your best 30 seconds. I screen them, we play them, and one of you is getting a pair of tickets to Friday Night Howl. That's going to be unbelievable.
And like the in thematic fashion with the up all night, the Boomtown Rats. It's Wild and Wolves, and it's Wolves and Wild. So from a Wild standpoint, you know, it's the state of hockey. You're all elite hockey minds. We don't have to tell you how to leave a talk back. Leave a talk back. Talk about the Minnesota Wild, what you think their chances are in the series, and what you thought about last night. From a Timberwolves standpoint, we did steal home court from the LA Lakers. Old people did get tired very late in the game. We're talking about LeBron James, whose vertical might have been 8 inches. In the final 5 minutes of the game. He could not elevate on any shots. Luka got tired, too. Big people get tired, too, despite their, at times, youthful nature. So there's much on which to opine with each team. And you go to that talkback machine, and we're going to play a lot of them for you today. And once again, one of those Timberwolves talkbacks will win a couple of ducats to Timberwolves and Lakers Target Center Game 3 on Friday. Now, what's on deck 9 to noon, courtesy of TimberTech, includes, but is not limited to, Minnesota Wild coach John Hines is calling us at 11:15. Hey!
That's sweet.
A mere hour before the charter goes wheels up and heads home back to the state of hockey. Aaron Sickman, thank you very much for the assistance there. John Hines, thank you for acquiescing. Now, those guys with the Wild and that flight today, let's be serious. I mean, those guys probably could float home sans jet propulsion. They were so good last night. Basketball Immortality Trent Tucker joins in studio an hour from now. And the only break from the winners and losers and talkbacks is Florio at 9:40 with some takes from the Gridiron Gospel with the NFL Draft tomorrow. Got that big power trip mock starting very, very early. and a Vikings draft party show on KFAN tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. All right, let's hear what you have to say starting next segment. This is your audio home for in-depth coverage of your favorite teams. This is the vast and ever-expanding 9 to noon audio network. This is KFAN, your cash thing leader.
Get those talkbacks going, but in the meantime, the Fan along with BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to the KFAN, just go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword fun. And if you're having fun, I mean, how fun would winning $1,000 be? With the keyword fun at KFAN.com. Good luck.
What's up, fellas? This is Mike from Belle Plaine. We got nothing to worry about. LeBron and Luka are trash. We'll get back on track, boys. Let's go. How about that howl?
An unprompted
breath
howl
power on that, huh?
An unprompted howl with plenty of breath power. Luka and LeBron sadly are not trash.
No.
Man, I just don't know if I've ever come across it just quick twitch, everybody. A more cocky player than Luka Doncic. I mean, he has an opinion on every single thing. You make a nice pass in the key and you put your hand out, like you an outstretched arm, like ta-da. I mean, he's on the refs. I can't wait for Trent Tucker to be here in an hour because Trent won an NBA championship with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Double T with his days with the Knicks and or the Chicago Bulls. I mean, he's seen a lot, and he's seen certainly more than us. I wonder if he's ever come across a player who is on officials more than Luka Doncic. I mean, he's on those officials with every single little morsel of a nugget that transpires. But outside of Naz Reid getting in foul trouble, I just wonder what routes will be taken in Game 3 to avoid, 30 or 40 times. We had pick switches, and all of a sudden they're stifled.
Man,
they're stifling old Luka, and there's nobody around.
I didn't actually think Luka did an awful job. There were a couple of moments actually where Luka was drawing the foul, not from Rudy,
right, but
from somebody crashing into support near the net. Like DiVincenzo caught a bad one where he was in the air at times. And there's is it the bad blood, quote unquote? I think that's what they were referring to on the broadcast, is bad blood from last year, I think is how they framed it up.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I heard that too.
I didn't really understand it. Luka is, against Rudy Gobert. Gobert is probably one of the few guys on the court that Luka can consistently outmaneuver quickly enough.
I'd certainly hope so.
Getting to the inside, absolutely. But I didn't think Rudy did a bad job on him at all last night. I was laughing about a PA. And
had some low key to it.
We were texting about the Wild game and Zuccarello, what's up with this hand as he's on the bench, and Bob Wischusen, who knew? Jets Fox calling the national broadcast. All fun.
Great work.
But I was laughing about from the Wolves standpoint is when Finch joined you earlier this week, and you can podcast it with the free iHeartRadio app. He hits you almost right out of the gates, PA. He's like, yeah, this was awesome, but we left a little meat on the bone. And a couple of areas that I'm looking at in the game too, PA, is going to be better defending on Luka and not committing as many fouls. We got to cut down on the fouls.
Yeah.
And we saw
and catch basketballs, man. I mean, like when they fall into your hand off rebounds, catch it, grab it, squeeze the sucker, man. I mean, the Adrian Peterson has been ballyhooed and has hand shaking / squeezing immortality to him. Well, basketball players have that too, man. I mean, just grab the basketball when it comes off the rim. Holy cow.
Yeah, the 24 fouls, and it was actually pretty even last night. I was surprised. There were a couple of ticky-tack moments where they even went after LeBron. They went after some guys from a foul standpoint that I didn't expect them to call.
I thought Julius Randle flat punched LeBron James on that one play where he scored, and they stopped it. And is it going to be a flagrant? my man gets to the microphone. He's like, "Nah, it's not a flagrant. It's just a normal foul." I'm like, "Damn."
Was that on LeBron or the one where he took Vanderbilt down? Do you remember that where he started to move and it was a full pointy elbow right to the chest / low chin?
I mean, I ain't trying to cast an aspersion here, but I guess I kind of am. Julius Randle came storming down the key. Julius Randle was the best player for the Timberwolves last night, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
He just from A to Z, he just brought the bulldog. Holy cow. Defense could be a little better, but veterans have a right to get tired too. But Julius went storming down the key with a floater with his right hand. It went in. And if you just look back at it, I'm not saying that he eyeballed LeBron and saw him right there, but it seemed like he just flat threw like a slap punch right at him. Down goes the king, holding his face that no longer was the countenance of chagrin.
You mentioned Nickeil Alexander-Walker last night. Man, I mean, what is he? He's got to be like 3 of 16, 3 of 17 shooting.
He was overmatched.
Well, let's get back to the talkbacks and continue this. Some Wolves back talkbacks 9 to noon after last night's loss in LA.
It didn't feel like it was just us against the Lakers. It felt like it was us against the Lakers and the refs.
Ooh.
Every time we started to bounce back, there was a bullshit penalty.
Oh. Well, the transcript did not pick that up.
I don't think you're going to win the tickets, but I appreciate the passion. Yeah. Appreciate the passion greatly. State of Hockey, where are you? Wild fans, free iHeartRadio app, microphone. Kaprizov's pass, what was it, 60 feet? I mean, Kaprizov's pass.
Unbelievable.
To Matt Boldy for the first goal. I've watched it back X amount of times. I'm not an elite hockey mime. I thought it was a super-duper sweet pass. Kirill Kaprizov, clearly, with the games under his belt and confidence on his side, is playing like the Kaprizov the Minnesota Wild had when he had like 20 some odd goals and he had the third most points in the NHL right around Christmas. And then he got hurt.
MVP territory.
Right. And Kaprizov is just, I mean, he's just a man right now with those passes. But when John Hines joins at about 11:15 before Wheels Up, from Las Vegas back to the state of hockey. Very kind of him to do that. While we praise Kaprizov's pass for its excellence, let's not shortchange the hand-eye coordination / work that Matt Boldy had to deliver to score that goal.
Yeah,
especially on this. At one point, I went to Twitter last night. I'm like, holy cow! Aiden Hill, Dryden, Brodeur, Waugh, Worsley or whatever. I mean, he was out of his mind last night. But state of hockey, 9 to noon wants to hear from you too. This is the celebratory covenant, and it's the worm is turned. Where the Wolves pull an upset on Saturday, wave your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care in the celebratory covenant as we howl. The Wild got beat. In a game that was, it ended up 4-2 with that flim-flam empty netter, with 0.0 on the clock. So it was really 3-2 when it was a real game. I thought the Wild represented pretty well, but it felt like Las Vegas was the right side the entire game one. The first 3, 4, 5 minutes of that Wild game last night, holy cow, the onslaught Bus was facing, that was terrible. I mean, it's just you talk about the ice being tilted, man. I mean, the teeter-totter wouldn't go back to the other side. And it looked like we were in a little bit of trouble, but they got out of it. And Gustafsson played a phenomenal game most of the game. And certainly during that first 3 to 5 minutes where he kind of saved the show for the Minnesota Wild, 1-1 with Vegas. Lakers and Wolves 1-1. Wild tomorrow night. Lakers Friday. Talkbacks now.
Gus was incredible last night. Now, when you look at Matt Boldy and, hey, we need more from him. You don't have Jules Eriksson-Ek. You don't have Kaprizov. Is Boldy going to stand tall offensively for this team? He had ups and downs through the back half of this regular season. Mm-hmm. And then we're begging for production from him in the postseason. Now, 3 goals through 2 games. Kaprizov, I mean, last night's pass only really outdid that unbelievable pass, if you remember, in game 1 that went straight to Boldy's stick, cross ice for the finish there. So the playmaking is back, and he finally found the net as well. So good times for Kaprizov. I'm gun shy here with these talkbacks. I'm pretty good at reading the transcripts. Let's see. No vulgarities, please.
Yo, what's up? It's Blake from White Bear Lake with this talkback talking about the Timberwolves. I brought this up earlier, but bringing in TSJ, I think that's someone that we really need to try to get going here. He's obviously amped up. He wants to play. He's got that dog mentality.
Lockjaw.
When the other guys are slumping, the Nas Reeds, the Nas of the world, swap them in, get them going.
Nice.
Save Blake's, please. Save Blake's. Yours truly went to crafting very early this morning and failed to include Terrence Shannon Jr. in the mix. And that was not under the assumption a member of the Talkback Covenant would pick me up, but somebody picked me up right there. It's like not mentioning. It's only 7 minutes. All right, so ain't nobody trying to make somebody sound like a cross between Anthony Peeler and Wally Zerbiak here. But it was a needed 7 minutes by rookie Terrence Shannon Jr., who came in, all right, and then he bit on a Luka Doncic deke. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful head and shoulder fake by Luka Doncic. And we got a foul. And then the popper went to the foul line. And of course, he made both. But Terrence Shannon Jr. was not rattled by that. What an aggressive player. Holy cow. I mean, you can, and we know this because we saw him play a fair amount when we were going through all of the injury-related L's through which the Wolves went in the middle-ish to three-quarters of the way through the season. But Terrence Shannon Jr. is not afraid to get up in your face and play defense. Terrence Shannon Jr. is not afraid to go hard to the hole. Wow. His dribbling for his size and his ability to get to the basket in a playoff game. Now, we're in Los Angeles. So you got somebody who was in elementary/middle school when he was watching LeBron James win championships with Bingo Smith, Craig Elo, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, there could be a little shock and awe factor to old Terrence Shannon Jr. He didn't have it last night. Super aggressive. And quite honestly, if players, if Nickeil Alexander-Walker, with all due respect, I mean, he's coming off the best season of his career, and he was a valued member of the Covenant when players were getting hurt. He can play point, he can hit threes, he can play solid lockdown defense in certain patches, but for whatever the reason, he's been out to lunch a fair amount of the first two games. I didn't think he was that great in game one. He shot like 1 of 6. And last night, I mean, it's like dumb fouls on and ones and just getting beat and not being able to catch things and stuff like that. So maybe the home vibe will pump things up a little bit for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But Terrence Shannon Jr. earned himself, in my estimation, some playing time in this series, no matter if people are in foul trouble or not. So, Covenant claps for the kid, despite the loss. That's a big spot last night. Pressure's not for everybody. And Terrence Shannon Jr. handled himself nicely.
Well, how about when our team, quote unquote, releases the hounds with Terrence Shannon Jr.? Dude's aggressive. He's super physical. He's to every ball. There's no doubt about that. But then when they release the hounds, it's Vanderbilt, where his entire purpose in life, it feels like, is to agitate and create total chaos on the court. A little bit of a contrasting viewpoint there in terms of when we need an energy bug, Terrence Shannon Jr., what he does versus the obnoxiousness of a Vando over the first two games.
And Jackson Hayes sucks, man. I mean, seriously, there's something transpiring in this series, and I forgot to ask Vinci about it yesterday. Damn it! But it happened again last night. And it's when Luka or LeBron or whomever is bringing the ball up the court. Okay, they use Jackson Hayes and or Jared Vanderbilt. That they're moving picks, man. I mean, they're running to spots and then half-heartedly stopping when somebody comes up to check the ball handler.
They do that all the time.
And they're moving picks, man. Yeah. I mean, those are moving picks that need to be flagged at least one time to open somebody's eyes. But that's part of their bit. That's part of their bit. So if it's not being called, then it's schematically sound because it absolutely is coached up. Just like these little holds that the Lakers are doing off screens, whether they're determining, do I want to go under the screen? Do I want to go over the screen? Well, then when they're trying to get around things, they're holding people offensively and defensively. It's very subtle. That the Lakers are pushing the envelope on some things. And you know what? They're not getting called. So there's no reason to complain about it until it starts getting called, or you start setting these low-key moving picks on your own as you run up the court and get those guys off you.
Talk back.
Robert from Apple Valley. My biggest takeaway was that I felt like that was the Lakers' best shot, and we didn't even give our best offensive effort. So if they are allowed to continually push us in the back and not get offensive fouls called, that'll definitely be worrisome. But overall, the reffing is exactly what we thought was going to happen going into this series. So now let's take it in 5, baby. How?
Yeah, I'm not tripping over the refs, quite honestly. And I know what people are talking about. The Wolves had more fouls in game 1. I don't have the box score in front of me now, but assumedly the Timberwolves had more fouls last night.
Yeah, 2 more.
But there aren't, at least for me, there aren't many, are you kidding me with that? Time and time again type fouls. I mean, there are some bad calls. There are some missed calls and there are some bad calls. Honestly, I think they go both ways. I mean, for personally speaking, and for those who know what I'm talking about with Julius Randle, down the key, makes a basket, it's nullified. He basically threw a punch at LeBron James, okay, and he connected with his face. So that could be a throw out moment, and they kind of look the other way on it. So it does go both ways. Unlike this Nicholas Hague in the Wild Vegas series, 14 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Are you kidding me with this guy? I mean, he cross-checks Hartman in the face in game 1. You got a ref looking right at it, doesn't do anything about it. There was one penalty called in the Wild Vegas game last night. Okay. When you're out hitting the adversary 69-37 like the Wild is, and then call the fewer penalties. I mean, the Wild is out hitting the Vegas Golden Knights, this heavy team, this big, heavy checking team, nearly 2-1, 69-37. So when Heinze joins in about 90 minutes, Foligno has 23 hits in 2 games. Are you kidding me with that? And the ref's arm has not gone up one time. So there's something to that, where it's we're going to let them play mentality because it's the cup. But this Nicholas Hague, man, I'm going to talk to Heinze about him, and he probably, he's certainly not going to give the game plan or say, well, yep, I saw it, Paul, and in game 3, we're going to put Moose out there to whoop his ass. But late in that game yesterday, there was a little bit of a scrum. This Nicholas Hague punched Kirill Kaprizov in the face twice, with 2 refs right there. I mean, just got him good. The second one was low-key an uppercut, and it knocked him down. So, how's that handled? The Vegas Golden Knights went pear-shaped last night. They absolutely went pear-shaped, and they were bewildered and shell-shocked with what hit them when the Wild opened up 3-0. Our only break from hockey today is the next segment. It's Mike Florio at PFT. Don't leave.
PFT.
PA and PFT, we.
PFT.
All right, here's Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, and author of several books. He joins us now. And Mike, old Kirk O'Chains showed up to Falcons off-season workouts. Should that surprise the Falcons? And does it seem that this drama is getting better by the day?
Paul, nice to talk to you, Paul.
Hi, brother. What's going on?
Hey, so they should be surprised because it was a Tuesday. Hello. Nothing?
No.
You don't have anything you can press on that box of yours to Give me some
always love
applause
that
or
one.
courtesy laugh.
Well, yeah, but I don't understand it.
He doesn't work on Tuesdays.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. It was on a Tuesday.
Now, of course, he
that was
only
high-key
takes
brilliant.
Tuesdays off during football season when they're on a Sunday-to-Sunday schedule.
I
He said
understand.
it himself. It's funny how people say, I thought the experts said he doesn't work on Tuesday. No, the experts didn't say it. He said it, folks. He said it. He was proud of it. It was a red flag to me because, hey, man, if you want to compete with the best, you got to be working when they are, and they ain't taking Tuesdays off. So, never mind.
No,
that's irrelevant.
Well, hold on. Is that the first time today that you've used that line? Because it's a fantastic line.
I haven't used it in that specific way. I made some snarky reference to it earlier today on PFT Live, but not in the exact same way. I don't like to do the same material the same way in different cities.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid and I realized that comedians go around telling the same jokes over and over again. Like, I was dumb enough to think that every time they appear, it's a brand new set of jokes, that they never do the same ones twice. Isn't that ridiculous to think that they would expend that much effort to come up with a new set for every single show they do? That's how stupid I was and still am.
That Tuesday line flew right over my head, but now I'm chill.
Oh, my God!
Hey, you know what else I thought when I was a kid? And I wonder if others thought this as well. Now, you may have to be as old as you and I are to appreciate this, but when I was a kid, the radio was a big deal.
Yeah.
We didn't have a whole lot of entertainment. We had 3 TV channels.
Big time.
Listened to the radio all the time. You couldn't listen to whatever you wanted to listen to whenever you wanted unless you went and bought the album, which was more money than a little kid had. So you just listened to the radio. And I was dumb enough to think that every song on the radio was being played live by the performers at the time the song was on.
Yeah,
That's how dumb I was, and still am.
But then you got into the books, and you were barrister raised, and now we're 20-some-odd years into PFT. And we're writing books. So everything came out in the wash. And speaking of coming out in the wash, Kirk O'Chain's off-season workouts, Falcons, were they surprised? And is this drama getting better day by day?
Well, they'd have to say they're surprised because Raheem Morris, the head coach, said 3 weeks ago at the league gathering in Palm Beach that he didn't expect him to be there. And I think this is just part of what is an awkward sort of deal-with-me game of chess. Hey, I'm here, and I'm under contract for $27.5 million fully guaranteed this year. And if I would have some unfortunate accident while I'm working out here, you got to pay me. And you're not going to be able to trade me. Why would he work out anywhere but there? If he has an injury away from the facility, they're going to cut off that $27.5. That's their get-out-of-jail-free card. If he would get injured at Planet Fitness at the local mall. So, yeah, it makes sense for him to be there. It makes sense for him to work out there. And it makes sense for him to constantly remind them, I'm here. I don't want to be here. You may not want me here, but I'm here. And the reporting from Adam Schefter earlier this week, and I know that Falcons GM Terry Fontenot disputed it today, the idea that the Falcons want a team like the Vikings or the Steelers to pay $20 million of the remaining $37.5 million fully guaranteed, and that apparently there's a thought that the Vikings and Steelers would be more willing to pay something like $10 million, which coincidentally or not is what Aaron Rodgers said last week he'd play for. That to me seems odd because I feel like if a team is bringing Kirk Cousins in to be the starter, and I think he only waives the no-trade clause if he's going somewhere to be the starter, it's worth more than $20 million. It's definitely worth more than $10 million for the team that would be acquiring him. So, right now they blew their window early in the game of quarterback musical chairs last month to land Kirk Cousins in a new spot, and he didn't want to be traded to a new team before the draft and have the same thing happen to him this year that happened to him last year, where he finds out during round one, I ain't the guy no more. But now I think where they are, the best play is just let it play out, wait and see what happens, because if and when a starting quarterback suffers a season-ending injury, that may be the moment where someone is willing to just take the contract, make him the starter. He waives the no-trade clause. The Falcons save some money, and they pick up a draft pick or two in the process.
Michael, potentially dumb question here. So hi, the women and children. If the Falcons cut Kirk Cousins, Can he play for league minimum anywhere he wants and stick the Falcons with the balance he's owed?
Yes, because right now, here's the thing. Back in March, I thought that if they would just cut him and he'd become a free agent, he'd make at least $27.5 on the open market for 2025. That would put the Falcons off the hook. There was a difference in my mind between his situation and Russell Wilson a year ago when the Broncos cut him and owed him $39 million fully guaranteed for 2024. No one was paying him $39 million. So you go to Pittsburgh for $1.21 million, you stick the Broncos for the rest, and so be it. I think at this point that would be the play because I don't think anybody's paying him more than $27.5 million at this point. So the Falcons would still be stuck if they were to cut him. And then they'd have the $10 million next year. I'm not worried about the $10 million next year because if he plays next year, he's getting more than $10 million from somebody, and he's not going to take the league minimum and take the Falcons for the balance because he's not going to play for only $10 million. $10 million is low-end backup quarterback money right now. So, yes, that would have been the benefit if the Falcons had done it. But I think they were determined to get draft pick compensation. They didn't just want to walk away from the money because they paid him $62.5 million last year. That's what makes this whole thing even more bizarre. They make a massive financial commitment. They pay him $62.5 million in cash last year, and they draft his replacement 6 weeks later. And 14 weeks into the season, that replacement is the new starter.
Why is, and this is from ProFootballTalk.com, okay, so people may have seen it, but if you haven't, there are several interesting things there involving Cousins, the Vikings, and, of course, NFL draft-related stuff. But why is a Cousins to the Vikings reunion unlikely?
Well, I think that Cousins isn't going to waive his no-trade clause to come be the backup to J.J. McCarthy. I mean, if he's going to be a backup, why not just stay in Atlanta? There's no guarantee Michael Penix Jr. is going to hold up over the course of a season. They may need him to play. One of the reasons they went to Atlanta, his wife's family is from there. So if you're going to be a backup, stay where you are. If you're going to be a starter, that's when you waive the no-trade clause. That's what I think it comes down to. And I know he's not happy about the situation, but $90 million over 2 years goes a long way toward, as I said last night, money can't buy happiness, but it goes a long way toward getting a stick out of your butt if you're not happy with your circumstance. You're getting $90 million, and you're not working this year, or you're a backup this year, and maybe you can play next year somewhere else. But I think that if the opportunity is to go somewhere and be the backup, why not just stay where you are and wait, because if and when, I think back to 2011, Carson Palmer decided he had enough of the Bengals, so he stayed home. And Mike Brown, the owner of the team, his attitude was, fine, stay home. I don't care. I'm not giving you what you want. 2 days before the trade deadline, Jason Campbell, Raiders quarterback, breaks a collarbone. All of a sudden, boom, the Raiders make the Bengals an offer they can't refuse, and Carson Palmer's got a new gig. Now, we don't know, and it's bad form to say names like, hey, this quarterback could get injured, that quarterback could get injured. But if any starting quarterback gets injured between now and the trade deadline, enter Kirk Cousins. Hell, one guy I've forgotten about is Derek Carr. What are the Saints going to do at quarterback? And now they're supposedly off of Shedeur Sanders. I can't imagine the Falcons and the Saints doing a trade, given the animosity between the two teams, but it's a mutual solution to a problem, and it gives Cousins the chance to start. And there aren't many seats out there, right? And the draft, I think, has to come and go before we really know where are the spots where he'd be the starter. Pittsburgh, maybe. New Orleans, maybe. Cleveland, maybe. I don't know. And it all comes down also to how much you're going to have to pay to get him and how much you're going to have to give up to get him. So this is just a weird spot. Kirk is in the driver's seat here. And he loses nothing at this point by waiting and see how things play out.
PFT.
What video available at ProFootballTalk.com? What's the right kind of quarterback to back up J.J. McCarthy? Florio and Devin McCourty discussed it on the website, and for those who may have missed it,
we did.
It's what type of quarterback is right to back up J.J. McCarthy? What conclusions did you guys draw?
I don't remember framing it that way yesterday. We framed it in the past, though, and my attitude is there's two kind of backup quarterbacks. There's the guy who comes in and doesn't know he's the backup and has every intent of trying to win the starting job and will do everything necessary to try to become the guy. And at some level, it might be downright Machiavellian, what the guy will do to try to be the starter. Then there's the guy who comes in, who understands, I'm here to help, support, nurture, mentor. I'm not going to play unless the starter's injured. My goal is to help this team get this guy as good as he can be. I'm here to support him. Now, part of the game, and Matthew Hasselbeck explained this years ago when he was the backup to Andrew Luck, he did compete with him aggressively to try to make him better. But Hasselbeck never had the delusion that he was going to win some sort of a non-existent quarterback competition with Andrew Luck. So I think that's what the Vikings need this year. They don't need the guy who comes in and says, I'm better than J.J. McCarthy. They need to see what they have in J.J. McCarthy. That's why I've been very anti-Aaron Rodgers to Minnesota, because let's see what they have in J.J. McCarthy, and I think that's the kind of backup that they need. A guy that, if necessary, can come in and play well like Sam Darnold last year. Because I really do think, Paul, I don't know what your impression was, based upon what we saw from McCarthy in the preseason opener against the Raiders before we found out a few days later he was done for the year with that knee injury. I thought he looked good enough that by the time the regular season started, he was going to be playing. I really do think they were going to shoot their shot. And let's see, get him out there, get him reps, get the game to slow down, get him more experience, because then he's going to be better in 2025 if he's played and taken some lumps in 2024. So, yeah, get him out there and have a backup who knows he's the backup and he's not trying to push J.J. McCarthy to the bench.
You mentioned Shedeur Sanders, and I hadn't seen this, and now at ProFootballTalk.com, we've had a dramatic odds change on like who goes ninth to the Saints. So what intrigues you about tomorrow's first round? And is the Shedeur Sanders landing spot absolutely the A topic with round one?
Yes.
Right.
Because of who he is, because of who his dad is, because of all the talk that's been out there about where he's going to go. You know, when you look at the odds, okay, right now the favorites are the Steelers at 21, but then come the Browns and Giants at 2 and 3. Isn't that strange to think there's a chance that he could go that early, but if he gets past 3, he's free falling all the way to 21. And then if he gets past the Steelers at 21, he's even a first-round pick. Now, in the one and only mock draft that we do every year, and I don't do it, I outsource it. We're going to post it later today. I'll give you a little preview. We've got Sanders going 26 to the Rams or to whoever the Rams would trade out of the spot with to come back and get Shedeur Sanders at 26. But, you know, he could slide out of the first round altogether. And he really is the biggest wild card. And it's very polarizing. I had a little rant today about how NFL media has an item up where it's a collection of anonymous quotes from scouts and coaches, etc. And there's some really negative stuff about Shedeur Sanders. I am not a fan of using anonymity, of granting anonymity to sources who are going to share negative opinions, especially pre-draft, when it affects potentially, it's calculated to affect where this kid's going to be drafted. So I don't know. There are people that like him. There are people that don't. And one of the realities of the draft is there is an incentive for someone who really likes a guy to push bad things, so that guy slips and slides all the way to the spot on the draft board where that team, with that coach or scout or whoever who's saying the bad stuff, can say, aha, we have our quarterback.
I'm glad you said that, because I was wondering how because I know that's important to you from a journalistic standpoint, deciphering legitimate news and subterfuge, and how often do teams leak stuff hoping to cause a fire that burns in a way it favors them?
Well, look, everything about the pre-draft process is strategic, or at least it should be, because the game is you want the guys that you covet. And, you know, for example, if I'm drafting at number 10, the Bears, great example. I got Caleb Williams, right? So it's in my best interest to have as many quarterbacks as possible drafted before number 10, because that pushes down the board the guys I want. And it's fewer of the guys that I don't want who are going to be available. That's how it works. And there's a rule of thumb somebody explained to me years ago. If a team really likes a guy, they have an incentive to spread negativity about him so the guy will slide down to them. If they don't like a guy, the incentive is to perpetuate greatness and how awesome he is, because you want somebody picking ahead of you to be the one to take him and push down the board the guys you're really interested in. And Sims told a story. He spent some time in New England, and John Robinson, the former Titans GM, was working in the front office there. And he told those guys, hey, when you're out talking to your buddies, like if this guy's name comes up and they're saying great things about him, lean into that. We want someone to take this guy before we're on the clock. So that's part of the game, and that's why it's so hard. It's a weird symbiosis, Paul, between the sources and the media at this time of year. The people in the media need content, and they either willingly allow themselves to be manipulated or they don't realize they're being manipulated and lied to. But they're the tool for the people who are with the teams to get the word out that advances whatever agenda they have. And if you don't have a strategy that you're trying to implement through the media, you're not doing it right. So I try to stay detached from that stuff. I almost said a different word. I try to stay away from it because, number one, I don't want to be manipulated. And number two, this time of year, I assume that any opinion anyone shares with me about any draft pick is aimed at advancing that person's agenda, which is tied to that team's agenda.
My man, last one.
Football feast.
What happens if Negan takes Travis Hunter at 2 and doesn't play him both ways? I mean, do we really think that would keep him away from the Cleveland Browns?
Well, no, I think that when it came out last week that Travis Hunter would retire if he couldn't play both ways, I think that was a reflection that he's communicated that message to the teams that are talking to him, and that if you take Travis Hunter, you better be prepared to let him try. I think this is one of those situations where you can't dictate to Travis Hunter how it's going to be. You can't say to him there aren't enough hours in the day to properly prepare. You're not going to be able to physically do it. You don't want to tell him no. You want to let him go try. And if he succeeds, that's great. You got a guy that's playing both sides of the ball. You're not paying him two different contracts to play full-time offense and full-time defense. He's getting paid based upon what slot he's taken in the draft, period. If he's third, that's what he gets. If he's second, that's what he gets. Doesn't matter what your position is. You could be a kicker. That's what you get. And so if he wants to do it, let him do it. And let him come to the conclusion that it's too much. He's the one that's going to have to decide. And that's part of the obligation you're assuming if you draft Travis Hunter. You need to let him figure out on his own whether he can't do it. And maybe you'll be surprised pleasantly to find out that he can.
I appreciate the time. Enjoy the draft. Call you next week.
See you, Paul.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, second hour. Back to the talkbacks. Minnesota Wild victorious last night.
Winnersville sounds better in FM.
And then we have the Hal.
Loserville sounds better in FM.
This is your audio leader for everything that is winning and losing and all talkbacks. Free iHeartRadio app, up to 30 seconds. Find the microphone. Wolves tickets to be given away in an hour and change to a talkback contributor today. Those will be a couple of Timberwolves tickets to Game 3 against the LA Lakers a couple of nights from now, Friday at Target Center. But Wild fans, we would love to hear from you, too, on the upset victory of the Golden Knights last night. And John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins 9 to noon, about an hour and 15 minutes from now. You're listening to The Fan.